Good morning.
Welcome to SF Excellence Episode 3.
Pick it.
ம் ம் கேக்குதா மேடம் நான் பேசுறது இதுல? ஓ, thank you everyone for your patience. All right. Uh, Let me introduce myself. Chartered accountant Vinod Shekaran with the experience of over post qualification 12 plus years of experience. I'm not sure whether you have heard about me, whether Sridhar sir has told anything about me. Anything? Anyone is aware of? I mean, what is my background? Oh, so when I came to Trichy, you met me in Singar Academy. Okay, okay, great, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good. So for others, probably they may not be aware of it. So again, I'll brief about me. In fact, when Singer Academy was started in 2004, it was in Warrior at that time, not this side, near the area called Saurashtra Street, where you'll have the A1 fast foods and all. So myself and another candidate, Balaji, we were the first student in getting registered in the Singer Academy. And as and when the time goes, now you have a wonderful ambience atmosphere, and this, especially you have to pick up uh, the descriptive questions, and then again here you have to write question one is compulsory and attempt any four. So again you have to attempt here 5 questions are here. Again, sometimes if you are finding this first question compulsory, it is very difficult and you are not able to like attack. Means don't worry, you go for the question where you are more comfortable. Like okay, I for this question number 2, I know all these A, B, C means on the side here you can mention it up like 1, which means that you are going to attempt that question 1. So like this, you have to organize yourself. This is the biggest mistake where every newcomers, of course, everyone will be learning from the mistakes, but you have to make it up and arrange yourself each question. Sometimes you will be having a situation like, let us take for this third question, A, B, C are there. A, B, you are comfortable, but C, you are slightly doubt means no problem. You make it as 2 on the second, that you're going to attempt this question for the second question. Make it as 2. When you are presenting this question, A and B, and especially for C, what I would suggest is when you are writing this question B, by the time, if you're able to recap the answer for this question, you may start writing that as well. If you are not, again not finding it comfortable, leave a space of 1 page, make it as 3C as a question number, leave a space, and then go to the next question without leaving a space for this question 1 page. Don't do that. So you have to mandatorily leave a space. The reason is, if you are again coming back and writing the 3C, it should be in the same continuity, the same question where 3A, B is there. That will make the examiner to be comfortable, not for searching for the answers. Okay, so this is one of the most important point where every student like committing a mistake on it. Straight away, what you'll do immediately, okay, C, I don't know, I'll come last. Then you'll go for straight away 4A. Don't do that. Leave a space and go. And don't, and again, you might be stuck up. Sir, I left only 1 page, but after I recap the answers, the answer is going for 2 pages means no problem. You can mention in the down of the page PTO. Please turn over PTO, you can mention it up and go to the last page. And again, mention the reference, the continuity answer from this page. Every year in your answer sheets, you'll be having a serial number. I think it will be a 26-page outlet book, I think so, or 40 pages. So mention that reference number. So what will happen is that examiner will pick it up. Okay, the continuity answer of this question, already it is there on this page. It is carrying it over on this last page. So like that, he will be able to withstand on it. So this is how, especially the auditing paper, you have to make yourself. And second thing is, this is the time factor arrangement. So how you are going to organize and structure your timing. The next question is, for every 4-mark question or 5-mark question, you should keep minimum 1 page. Minimum 1 page, maximum 2 pages. Okay. And the most important thing is, whenever you are writing any question, like for example, 3A, you are going to attempt this question means always start any question from a fresh page. It could be 3A, it could be 3B, it could be 3C. You might say that, sir, already only 1 line I utilized that page, sir. The A question answer 3A, I wrote 1 full page, and on the next page, hardly 3 lines, sir. Why can't I can start from that? No, don't do that mistake. Leave a space, and then in that blank space, you just score it out like this. You can score it out by using a cursor, by using the pen, so that examiner will think that, okay, that answer is completed and the candidate has started to write the answer for the next question 3B on a fresh page. Okay, this will give the examiner a more comfortable level that okay, every question has been answered and every question has been well presented. All these things are matter actually. Everything it matters, especially for theory papers. It is a completely a matter of presentation. As a chartered accountant, how you are going to present the report, audit report to the clients. Like that, you have to be present yourself. So then only the marks will come. So in a way, whenever how you are issuing an audit report to the client by a chartered accountant, so in a similar way, you have to present yourself these answers. This is how. So especially this is the point I would like to touch upon to you, even though it takes some 15 to 20 minutes. No problem. You have to know the rule of the game before you're attempting the examination. That is more important thing of it. All right. And especially for theory papers, it could be law, it could be auditing, it could be any paper. Wherever the AS number and wherever the standards auditing number, you have to quote them. You have to refer them for this question. For example, when they are asking about SA 701 means, you have to be very cautious and only you have to be core to that question only. What does 701 says? What are the facts? And what is the conclusion for this situation? How we can determine the audit matters. All right. So this is how you have to like make yourself present the answers examination. And the most important thing is don't write the answers like the paragraph wise. I repeat, don't write the answers like this paragraph wise. It will not solve your success. Okay. Examiner will think that you are trying to bluff the answer. Okay. He will read only. But again, as I said, it's a matter of presentation. Okay. And so how to present them? Okay. Let me share my the today's chapter, what I'm going to take you through. Let me share you a sample how to present them point wise. So whenever anything you have point wise, you have to use your star or hashtag symbol or something. Always, if you're using anything number 1 to 3 means always make sure that these numbers are inside the margin. On outside the margin, you should have only the question number only. 3A means 3A. That only should be there outside the margin on the left hand side extreme. Okay. And all your point numbers 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D numbers, everything for the related to that answer. You have to make sure that it is inside the margin. Otherwise, you yourself will get confused. Okay, already we attended this answer 3D something. So don't commit a mistake. It is always use some arrows. Okay, like a small arrow, you make it up, and then you can present the answers point wise. Okay. Now, you might ask me, sir, whether for all the questions do you need to rate point wise? Certainly no. The reason is there are some questions like in the form of audit report, they might ask you questions related to audit report. If any questions they ask, you cannot use the same approach point wise. Okay, you have to use how audit report is presented, how audit report is issued to the client. Like generally audit report will be in the form of paragraph wise only. So in the form of paragraph only, you have to present your answers, especially for the audit report questions. Okay. For rest other questions, everything standards and auditing, you can present them like this point wise. That will give the examiner a quiet thing. And especially if it's a 4-mark question means make it as 1 page. 5-mark question means you can go for maximum 1.5 page or 2 pages so that you will be able to cover all the points. And the most important thing is if you're forgetting any 1 point means don't try to repeat same point twice. That will irritate the examiner. For example, if you're able to recap only 4 points means no problem. Present that 4 points and keep moving on. Don't sit and think on the same answer. That will again kill your time. Okay. And the last point, what I was trying to cover you on the thumb rule is you have 3 hours. Segregate the 3 hours into half an hour, half an hour, half an hour, everything. Okay. allot each question half an hour so that you will be able to complete your question, 6 questions on time. Okay. And definitely when you are allotting the time like this half an hour for every question, make sure that before when you are entering to the next half an hour timing session, make sure that all that particular question 3a b c, all those 3 sub questions that you have mentioned the question number, heading correctly, whether have you attempted to the relevant question, everything you make sure that it has been lined, because you will not have time to revisit again to come back and check, especially for auditing. You will not have time. So before you move on, like for example 2 to 5, 2 to 2:30, you will be attempting for one particular question. Let us take the 3a b and c. So when you are doing it up means, then you make sure that before you move on to 2:30, you make sure that that has been reviewed thoroughly. And I definitely, for some questions, you will be able to attack them within half an hour itself. Let us say for 15 minutes or maximum 20 minutes. You will be having a save of 10 minutes time. That 10 minutes time, you have to utilize it for your first question, where the what to say, the optional questions are there, right? For the 2 mark questions. So where you have to spend your time. So this is how you have to organize your time yourself. That is the key success of it actually. If you are not making yourself organized in the 3-hour session, then you yourself will not be able to know what you are doing in the 3 year, because that 3 year, it is your timing basically, and it is your session. And you can ask for the examiner, I mean the valuer, the supervisor, you can give me answer sheets, n number of sheets. Don't worry that no one is getting answer sheets and all. No problem. You can get the answer sheets, because it is a matter how you present them. You are presenting a descriptive thing in a brief way, so that will help you to make it up. Okay, now we will move on to the chapter today. So far as the rule is clear. So I believe that this rule will be, you have to apply it for the all theory papers especially. Of course, for law paper, it could be slightly different, because there it is purely a case law studies will be coming, and also the Companies Act, the sections will be applicable. That is purely a different ball game, but the rule is clear. Again, there also you have to allocate your timing yourself only. Okay, and let me go to the, you can see this full screen, right? Okay, fine. Today, I mean, I would like to cover the chapter for you, Audit of Banks, which is under module 2. Okay, and the screen, what you're seeing on the, I mean, the PowerPoint presentation, what you're seeing on the screen, this one, it will be helpful for you to refresh before the examination point of time. Especially this particular chapter in your study material, you have almost 60 pages. And one more thing, for all theory papers, I always used to refer only the study material, institute study material. I will not go for any private authors, except for final alone. For law paper alone, I went for some private author book. For rest others, auditing, inter and final, everything, I prefer the study material only, because that will cover you the entire thing. And then you have to refer your suggested study material or RTP, revised test paper. So that will help you to refresh, and you will be able to know how to present each one of the answers. Now coming back to here, the PowerPoint what you're seeing right now, it is just for your before the examination revisioning. And also when when I'm taking this chapter through you, so this also helpful to you for how to prepare for this chapter, and that will help you for the examination point of time as well. Okay, so the points what you're seeing over here in the examination reality timing, if you forget something completely, at least try to reproduce these points, at least key points. These are all key points. Okay, when I say key points, the point is very minimalized only, and you have to stress that point at least like in the form of 2-3 to complete that sentences, full sentences. Okay, while reading this point, you will come to know, okay, this point is refers to this particular statement. But in reality, when you are right in the examination point of view, you have to complete the full point, the full sentences. Okay, so this is how it is actually. So this PowerPoint material will helpful for you to, before the examination, complete a quick revisioning. We'll share this material also to you. Okay, like after this chapter is done, I will be sharing this for you, so that then you will be able to understand how to use this PowerPoint presentation from your examination point of view review. This will be a quick referential guide. Okay, now audit of banks. First of all, I'm not sure whether anyone is still doing the articleship or all are studying only. So no one is going for any articleship, correct? Okay, okay. So what is the new rule right now? I mean, after you finish this group one or both the group you have to finish and then go for articles. So both group you have to finish it off, correct? Okay, okay. But previously there was something rule, right? You can clear one group and then you can go for. So now that rule is no more. Okay, okay. Fair enough. Fine. So especially this chapter will covers about the topic, like how a chartered accountant will be presenting himself during the course of audit, how the bank audit has been carried out, how the financials has been handled, and what are the points to be considered. And especially we all know all the banks will be giving a loan to the customers. Okay, and the customers will place fixed deposits. So this is how the banking business takes place. For every branch, whenever the branch is opening in any place in India or any city or any town, the headquarters of that particular bank, they will ensure that at least they are able to cover the overhead expenses. That is the basic rule actually. When you say the overhead expenses means the staff salaries and the operating cost, electricity, utilities, many things will be the rent, the building rent, uh, all these things will be there. To cover this overhead, the bank has to do business. When we say business, it is not a trading business like how a normal business people will do. For them, they have to lend money or borrow money. So when they borrow money from the bank, when we borrow money from the when we borrow money from the bank as a customer, that is what is the pure business for the bank, which means that the bank at the end of the day they charge interest from us in terms of car loan, housing loan. Housing loan is a very dangerous product. So in your career, don't try to get the housing loan from any bank, because again we will be all professions. I wish everyone you to be a chartered accountant. So when you be a chartered accountant, so don't go for any loan. Always you have to drive the horse. It will be like a horse game only. So you have to drive that horse very patiently, and you should know when to gallop and when to expose yourself in front of the society, and then you have to make it up. But still, in Bahrain, we have almost like more than 400 chartered accountants. I believe no one would have been taken loan. Of course, they take loan, but for different investment purposes. That's a different thing. Okay, coming back to here. So and the bank has to make sure that the the fund has been lended to the customers or the borrowers, and they earn interest. So that interest will be the income. Okay, so that income should get able to easily cover up all your cost, your expenses, and then finally your net income. Now again, further what the bank will do is, in terms of enriching the cash reserve ratio, they will keep on borrowing the money from the customers or the borrowers in terms of fixed deposit, where the bank has to pay interest. Okay, and sometimes what will happen is the same customer, he will have deposit also with the bank. He would have been taken loan also from the bank. So it could be of multiple combination. And what will happen is some customers, they will say that they will pledge this fixed deposit. You can give me a loan against this fixed deposit. Or sometimes they will say, give me a loan where I'll give you a separate security, like in the form of gold or something, gold loan, which will be called as like a pledge. Or something they'll say a security, like I'll give the title deed assigned to you, building loan, secured collateral property. So against this property, you please sanction the term loan or overdraft facilities. So for doing business, the borrower has multiple products to avail the loan from the bank. Now, certainly what will happen is every borrower has to repay the money on time. If they are not repaying continuously for more than 3 months, 3 months or like 90 days, you can say, simple thumb rule. So what will happen is that amount you have to provide a bad debts provision. Like how you know the bad debts provision, what it is, right? Everyone know, everyone. Okay, so it is nothing but whenever any customer is not remitting or any paying the funds for that particular transaction, so what will happen is you have to apply provision for that value, for the outstanding value. Okay, for the outstanding value, how much is the amount the customer has to pay us? For that amount, you have to apply provision on a yearly basis based on the certain percentage, especially for the banking institution. There's a rule is there, you have to apply based on the slab rate. However, for the IFRS 9, there's a key point is there. For the IFRS 9, you do have a different method of approach where expected credit loss, that is the most important. There's a different ball game. IFRS, which I'm just giving you a hint about this so that at least you'll be able to aware of it. So that IFRS 9, nothing but in financial instruments where you have to apply the bad debts provisioning as per the expected credit loss ECL method, they will say. So you have to apply the provision for every transaction based on the different approach altogether. Okay, so they'll be applying the weighted rate. What is the probability rate? The customer will not pay, delay in probability. So all these percentages they'll consider, and then based on that they'll apply the factor, and then they'll arrive the value. Whereas in this case situation, what we're seeing right now in this banking chapter, it's a straightforward case. Like for first year, it will be called as a substandard asset, and then from next year onwards, it will be called as a doubtful. And again in that also like a 2 years, and then from second year to third year, and then more than 4 years, like that you have a time factor is there. For every time factor you need to apply the respective slab rate. Okay, 10%, then 15, and then 20, it goes on. And then more than 4 years means it will be called as a loss asset. You have to ensure that you have provided provisioning for the entire 100% of the transaction value or the outstanding value, not the transaction value. On the outstanding value, you have to make sure that. So first year 15%, next year you're supposed to provide 30%. So already you might have provided 15% the previous year. So the second year you have to provide only for the difference 15% only, to make sure that yes, for this year till this year, yes, we have provided provision for the entire 30%. So this is how you have to make sure the calculation on this. So this is how the banking goes on. And again, still many more detailed points are there. I will be taking you through onto it. Now coming back to here from the examination point of view, what does these chapters says is, like you have to understand how the accounting system takes place in the bank. Okay, there's this all the banks is having ERP softwares. Okay, and when we say ERP softwares, again the staff who are in the bank, they do have a delegation authority limits. Only the authorized person can do the approval. Like for example, you are going to the bank asking the manager to give me a loan. The clerk or someone or anyone sitting in the bank, they cannot approve the loan. Only the branch manager can approve. They can ensure that the documents are all collected and everything. Again, if it is a more than 1 crore or 2 crore means, the branch manager will be having a certain limit. Beyond that limit, he will be getting an approved from the zonal office, which could be in Chennai or Coimbatore, somewhere else. Okay, so this is how it matters. So when we say that each person delegation, you have to make sure that only the authorized key person is expediting the transaction limits. And also when you say authorized person, you have to make sure that that particular person is having the limits and is following the control system mechanism in place. Internal controls are in place. If there is anything deviation, you have to report them in the audit report. I am taking you like a story so that at least you'll be able to pick it up. Okay. Now, the next point is about the bank audit report. how the bank audit approach you have to take it up. We'll be going in detail, don't worry. All the points are there in the next slide. But you have to understand what are the headings. If we go straight away to those headings, then you will not understand what it is and everything. So I have to give you an introduction, right? So that's why I'm taking you through onto it. Then again, what are the items of bank financial statements? Especially especially when you're preparing the financial statement for the banking, and especially when you're preparing the financial statement for our normal private limited companies or public companies and all, there will be some differences. Like especially in the banks and all, whenever you're providing provisioning, no, for the delay in payment, the customer is not remitting on time, we call them as a non-performing asset, NPA. Whereas for a normal company like private company or public company, we don't use this word NPA itself, like non-performing assets or any Reserve Bank of India like that. So there are some differences are there, especially for a banking audit. You have to consider these items. Okay, so what are the items in the financial statement, especially NPA, loans and advances? What are the deposits you have collected onto it? If you're running a private limited company, you cannot accept any deposits, correct? There is a rule is there, a restrictive section is there. Whereas only the banks can accept the deposits. Okay, if he's a NBFC, means non-banking financial like Sundaram Finance, like Edelweiss Bank, there are some non-banking TVS Motor Finance. All these finance companies, non-banking financial institutions, they cannot accept any deposits from the public. If they accept, they are disqualified. Only the banking sectors comes under RBI. Okay, they can accept deposits, all the credit card products, agri loan, gold loan, all are there. Okay, that could be some other private players who are doing the finance business. That's a different thing. But when it's come to the rule, RBI means yes, only the banks can accept deposit. But the rule for the NBFC, it is totally different. The reason is every bank, they have a NBFC also. Like let us take if you take a Standard Chartered Bank, the multinational bank, MNC bank, okay, which is based in headquarters in UK. Okay, this bank, they have multiple diversified business nature. So what they will do is the transaction which are supposed to cover as per RBI compliances, they will do under the banking company. The transactions which they are not supposed to do, like private equity or anything like the acquisitions, all these transactions, they will form a different entity and they'll be doing it up over there, like giving a vehicle loan, SPV loans, joint ventures, doing some acquisitions, all these things they'll be doing it over there under the NBFC, non-banking financial institutions. That is why they are calling it as a non-banking, and these are called the banking things of it. So you should be very clear onto it. And the next point is aspects related to the audit. So revenue items are there, advances and NPA. Especially during your whenever as a chartered accountant, if you are approaching for a bank audit, you have to ensure that whatever the amount you arrive for the non-performing assets, you have to make sure that that amount you are excluding from the revenue. Okay, so you have to exclude, because what will happen is the revenue might be recognized in the books of accounts as per IFRS 15. In terms of accounting standard, it will be AS 9. So what will happen is the main revenue is interest earned for the bank. Okay, like the bank is giving the loans and advances to the customers, car loan and all, car interest portion, housing loan, housing interest. So all these interest elements will be a part of your P&L. Okay, and the principal element, it will go to the balance sheet and get cleared on it. So if there is anything a delay for that account will be classified as a non-performing assets, NPA. When we say delay, means the borrower has not done the repayment, EMI settlement for the last 90 days. So obviously what will happen is that account will become NPA. So what you'll do is whatever the income earned for the last 3 months, 90 days, that income you have to reverse them, and then you have to make sure that you have to provide a provisioning also. So what will happen is your income will reduce drastically, but whereas you are trying to book a loss. So this is how the major thing takes place over here. The shift is happening. So you are accounting a loss, you are not booking your income, you are accounting the provisioning in the P&L, and finally in the balance sheet, you are classifying that particular loans and advances account under NPA, which is called as non-performing assets. Okay, if it's a good account means yes, it will be under the schedule loans and advances only. If it is like if there is anything delay or the customer borrower is not paying the money, yes, it is called as a NPA. Now again, types of banks. Commercial, this could be a 2-mark question. I have seen it up several times in the previous batch and all. Okay, questions always comes from here. Like, what does a commercial bank do? Then you have to be very cautious, clear. They provide number of products, they accept deposits, they grant advances loan. Again, under commercial bank, you do have 2 types of bank, cooperative bank and development bank. What does cooperative bank do? Yes, they have the cooperative principles, which is called as bylaws, functions like commercial bank, and registered under the CAC, Cooperative Society Act, or Multi-State Cooperative Society Act. Always cooperative bank will be in the villages or the panchayat only. The main thing is they always cater the need of agriculture sector. That will be the major product. Always they'll be giving the agri loan. Okay, and especially for the agriculture loan, imagine the farmer is not repaying the money on time, and there is a delay. Especially for agriculture loan, this 90 days thumb rule will not be applicable. Okay, to classify that account as a NPA for the agriculture loan, the normal thumb rule for NPA, like a more than 90 days delay, no repayment, no movement in that account, the borrower account means you classify them as an NPA. But for agriculture loan, the rule is different. When we come to that particular section, I will be explaining you. In short, they will see the crop season, like from this season to the next season, they will give them some time. Within that period time, if still he is having delay means, then only they will conclude that this particular agriculture loan transaction will be classified as a NPA. So for all the agriculture loan transaction will not be normally dealt like a normal 90 days delay. So when you are reading a question, especially from the banking chapter, make sure that this loan is a normal loan or an agriculture loan. If it's agri loan means you have to make sure that the rule should be followed. I will be explaining in detail. Again, regional rural bank again means there are 2 types of banks are there. One is the payment bank and small finance bank are there. So regional always set up in rural areas. Okay, the main thing is to classify the banking needs and the rural communities to meet the requirements. And the most important is the development bank, which is called as they always for the infrastructure facility for the economic growth. Mainly IDBA is there, Industrial Development Bank of India. So all these are big players bank. They always lend loan like a minimum 500 crores. If you go and ask 1 crore, 2 crore, they will not give, because they always give for the development of the economic growth. So they always give funding at a high level to make sure that the infrastructure of the country is being developed. That is how it takes place actually. The next one is payment banks and the small finance bank actually. So the small finance bank provided services to the marginal farmers and small and micro businesses. So especially even the small finance bank also they give for the farmers. Even for the cooperative bank also they do the agriculture sector. So always you have to be very cautious. First of all, what are types of bank? Commercial and regional. You have to read like that. Under commercial you have 2 types of bank. Under regional you have 2 types of bank. So in your 2-mark questions, you will be like twisted like anything. So this slide, it will helpful for you to quickly recap before examination, so that at least you can make it up. But again, as I said, you have to complete the sentences. This particular point where what I mentioned here for development bank means it is just what it is. But if you read the study material, you will be able to get a full picture. Okay, to complete the sentences, you have to write a full line actually. Okay, I have mentioned only keywords only over here for this every point, every slide what we are going to deal right now. You'll be able to see, I mean, only the keywords. Okay, now the next question is types of audit report. It's a very, very, very important question. Sometimes you might get this question on the 4-mark answer as well. How the question will be is like as a chartered accountant, in addition to the main report, when you say the main report means that is called as auditor's report. As per SA 701 or 705, we will be issuing the report. Okay, so in addition to this main audit report, what are the other reports as a chartered accountant you have to review during the course of bank audit and then report them. This is the main question. So as an auditor, you will be doing the audit as per your audit planning. Okay, and you will cover all the areas and cover all the course of audit areas. Okay, and what will happen is, then you will make sure that wherever you come across any internal control weakness or any like deviation in the policies, RBI policies, what you will do, you cannot keep your eyes closed and go away. You have to qualify a report, or you have to issue a specific report, and that has to be addressed to the RBI, or it has to be addressed to the concerned board to make sure that there is a deviation. As a chartered accountant, you have a concern in that area. So what will happen is, when you are mentioning these points in the report, that will add value. So that is why we are calling it as a types of audit report. So first one is, when any bank is being formed under Companies Act, especially all the MNCs bank, like foreign branches, ICICI, HDFC, all these banks will be registered under the Companies Act only, because the major shareholder will be he'll be in the other country. Okay, and the shareholders will come and invest money, so they form a company under this only. So especially in these cases, you have to prepare a report 143.3 subsection 3. 143 subsection 3 is nothing but duties of auditor. Okay, in the company auditors report chapter, company audit, I will take you through it, don't worry. But right now you understand the high level. 143 is nothing but duties of auditor, and this will be for the report. You have to report if there's anything effective weakness on the the control system are not sufficient enough or not adequate. Okay, you have to report them over the financial reporting. FR means financial reporting. So you have to report them on the adequacy and anything. Or if there is anything, you can even say, okay, there is a sufficient control systems are in place. You can even report them in a good manner. Then long form audit report. Long form audit report is nothing but every year on of before 30th June, every chartered accountant has to fill this form, and then they have to submit the report to the to the branch. Like for example, when you're doing a branch audit, you will be given this LFA report to fill it up, and then you have to prepare them and then submit the same to the branch manager respective or the headquarters completely. The next one is reporting on the compliances, which is called as SLR requirements, statutory liquidity ratio requirements, all these things. Like how we call it as a current ratio for every business when they're doing the business, current ratio, liquid ratio, working capital, all these things. Even for the bank also they do have. They have to ensure that the liquidity is being maintained. If the bank is keep on accepting deposits and there is no borrower to the bank, means what will happen? At the end of the day, the bank is like they have to keep on paying interest to the public only for the fixed deposit. So there is no revenue for that particular branch. So they will not be able to meet with the expenses. So in a way that they have to keep on maintaining the SLR requirements. So that SLR, all the ratios, liquidity requirements, if they are met, yes. If there is anything ratio looks like adverse, it is not like well before. Like for example, current ratio, it should be 2:1. Imagine if it is a minus, means what you'll do, that business is not good. It is doing a loss performance. So you will qualify, you will inform the stakeholders the business is not performing well. So that is how it is. You have to go through all these ratio requirements and everything. And the next is third point is important, report whether treasury operations has been conducted in accordance with the instructions of issued with the RBI. This is the most important thing. The reason is especially they call it as a chest and all. The chest means where the main branch will be having the entire cash collection for the full day, which that particular branch will be having the location will be having a control of all the 10 branches in that city. Okay, so that treasury function, the cash they'll take on moving daily, they will carry the cash right to all the branches by the security stuffs. So there is a procedure in place. So when you cannot go and take straight away, the security cannot go and take the suitcase and then go to the bank. So they have to follow the procedure when they're shifting the cashes. So in terms of all the treasury operation functions, these are all cash functions, correct? So they have to ensure that they follow the rules in accordance with the instructions issued by the RBI. And the next is the income recognition. As I said previously, income recognition, you have to make sure that only the income which are earned and recovered If any income, if any account is NPA and that particular transaction revenue you cannot recognize in the books, you have to reverse that. That is the first thing. And then you have to do the asset classification, second thing. Third, you have to provide the provisioning in the P&L. So this is the most important thing. And the next point is, if you find any irregularity was noticed, immediately attention is required. You have to make sure that it has been informed to them. Then again, the implementation of the Ghosh committee and Jilani committee, where it says about the frauds and malpractice. Whenever you come across anything fraud has been happened, immediately you have to report them in this report. So when I say in this report, means it is one of the type of report. Like you can say, you can make the report as a report for the frauds and malpractice. You can give a report from your end. And again, internal control system inspections. You have the right to inspect, ensure that whether the controls are followed. When you say control, means what it is, whether morning branch has been opened at 9 o'clock, yes. Whether the cashier and the branch manager open the safe vault together same time at 9:15, yes, correct. So this is how they have a timing. They will enter the register 9:15, both of them they will open together. If you go to the early morning in the bank, if you see the cashier and the manager, he'll be having one key. The manager, without anyone, if anyone is on leave, that's it. He cannot operate. So what will happen is, someone or other, they will make sure that the key is with him, and then he will enter his name with the register, and he will open the safe same time. That is how it functions actually, and then it keeps moving on. So inspection, yes, you have to go and inspect. Like for example, gold loan. Where in my experience, it really happened actually. I will not say the name of the bank. When I was in Trichy, I was doing the bank audit. What happened is, in the books of accounts, there was a loan has been given to the borrower for gold loan, some 10 pounds something. But in reality, if you want to go and verify that particular stock, anyway, all the gold will be the bank only, right? It will be in the locker only. When you go and say there was no gold actually, in fact. So these things all will happen. So you have to make sure that for a high value transactions, especially, you have to make sure that the gold content is there or not. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is, we'll end up in another, like this malpractice or frauds will happen. Everywhere it is happening. So we cannot do that anything actually. Then adverse ratios. If any ratios is like adverse, it is not in line with the requirements favorable position, you have to report them. So the point is, in addition to the main report means the normal auditor's report, above report must be furnished by the statutory central auditors. So always by the statutory auditors, it is his duty to report all these aspects. If he is not giving any report on it, it will be a problem. You cannot expect that the branch is a perfect thing. No, there will be some loopholes, there will be some weaknesses will be there. So you have to make sure that you report everything and you cover all the aspects. What is the RBI responsibilities function? This can be asked either 4-mark question, 5-mark question. Again, if you are not able to recap the full point, means at least try to replicate this point wise. You can see, point wise. Don't write in the form of paragraph. And most important thing is, if possible, take a scale and pencil or use the same pencil, underline the keywords. Underline the keywords that will give the examiner a more, like what to say, a value for it. And especially for theory mark, if all these points are present, he will give you minimum 3 marks for a 4-mark question. For a 5-mark question, he will give minimum 4 marks. Definitely, you'll be able to score marks on all these things. Then again, coming back to RBI responsibility functions, what is RBI and what are the functions means? Yes, they are responsible for the supervision of the constitutions, for the financial systems, which is banking and NBFC. Both NBFC means, as I said, Sundaram Finance, all these players will be there. And determining the conjunction with the central government and credit policies. I might have used some shortcut words. So especially for the shortcut words, if you refer the material, you will come to the expansion. What is CG? Okay. Regulating the activities of all banks. Yes, of course, they will be issuing the currency, most important RBI's thing. Regulations. RBI norms has to be followed. Acting as a banker to central government and state government. Okay. So this is the most important responsibility and functions on it. Okay. Students, just give me a 5 minutes break and then we will continue on this. Is it fine? Okay. The time is right now 12:05, right? Okay. 12:15 will catch up. Okay. So okay. So we were here. Yeah, RBI, we covered this point, RBI responsible functions and also other type of audit reports. Now, how the what approach or what are the approaches we have to follow when you as a chartered accountant you will be followed or you need to be followed. Let me rephrase this question like this. So imagine uh, if I'm a main partner for that. Let us assume in an audit firm, and then I have got a X bank to do a statutory audit. So preliminary, what I have to do? What are the main points I have to do myself first? Uh, Forget about this particular points what you're seeing on the screen. Let me give you at a hint level so that you need to understand all these points. Whenever you are a chartered accountant, first you will be appointed, like they will be appointing you. So for which, as per Companies Act, there's a section is there, section number 139. So every auditors will be appointed under the section 139. Okay. So whether when you are appointing, you have to make sure that whether you are a first auditor or you are a subsequent auditor. First means the organization which has been formed recently in that year only, and then that is why you are called as a first auditor. Imagine or if that organization has been going on for last more than 10 years, and you are one among the subsequent auditors, so you are getting appointed, so you are called as a subsequent auditor. So whenever for the first auditor, you will not have any challenges because that will be normally done by the board of directors, the proper resolution in place, everything will be taken care. But the point is, in the case of subsequent auditor means what will happen is you will be having a previous auditor in place in the previous year. The first thing is, as a professional ethics, you have to get a NOC. So, I mean, I'm just giving you a theory at a broad mind picture. Right now, just don't see these points. I'm just giving you an explanation. Just understand that. So that will give you a fair picture how to approach these type of relevant questions in examination. Okay. So you have to get an NOC and you should ask him whether do you have any concerns if I'm accepting. He will say no, pick it up, everything. Sometimes he will say, yes, I have a concern. They didn't pay my audit fees for the last 5 years. So don't accept the audit. First they have to pay me, then only they have to make it up. So all these things are there. So what will happen is the fees will get settled and everything, and then he will give an NOC, and then you can accept the appointment. If you do anything in non-compliances means the existing auditor, he will go and complain with the institute. Institute will take action against your professional ethics. Sometimes you will be removed also. So all these things can happen. Okay. So now coming back to these things, if I am an auditor, if I am going to do the bank audit for a X bank, so what I will do? First, I will assess what is the size of the branch, size of the business nature, how many people I need, what is the plan, when I'm going to start, when I'm going to end, what is my scope of audit, what are the areas I'm going to cover. Same thing when you're going for a tour, what you will do, you will fix a place, how you're going to go, whether car or bus, how many people, friends or family members, how many people, what is the share amount. You have to collect the money from everyone, put the money, and then you will divide them by head. And you will see in the tour what are the destination places you need to cover. So you will make a broad plan picture, correct? Similarly, the same thing for audit planning also, you have to draw audit plan. So you have to make sure that what is the level of operations, nature, size of the business, adverse futures, level of compliances, the most important thing. Based on the previous audit report, you have to see what are the compliances they considered, like what are the type of report issued, anything. And risk based on the inadequate, if anything, breach of control, you have to most focus. So you have to draw a audit plan on all these areas. Okay. So the question is, during the course of audit, what approach will you take as a chartered accountant? So there are three major headings are there: drawing an audit plan, control environment at the bank, engagement team discussion. Most important is all three are there. So how these are the approaches at a high level. This could be a compulsory 5-mark question. And again, as I mentioned here, these are the key words of that particular point. So you have to, when you read the institute material, you will be able to form a complete sentences of this particular point. So that's what it is. So now coming back to the control environment, what is a control environment at the bank level? So it is the inside the banking, the environmental nature, how it is being done, whether, as I said, a proper control in place, whether the cashier and the branch manager have the key together, whether they open the branch at same timing, because all these factors, segregation of duties, the clerk will be having some duties, the clearing branch person, he'll be having some duties, the treasury cashier, he'll be having some duties. The cashier can focus only on the cash transactions only. He cannot come and come and involve in some other person transactions, okay, or some other person's duty. He will be having the system limit only to handle the cash transactions. He will not be able to have access to post any journal entries. Only he collects the cash from the cash counter. He will account that entry. He will give the deposit challenge to the customer. So section of duties, all these things are there. Accurate reporting. You have to make sure that whatever the transaction is getting accounted, is it reporting accurately, and whether it has been measured. Measured means a recording. Okay. Then verification, approval of transaction, as I said in the beginning of the call, it will be approved by the branch manager for some transactions. If it is beyond the limit, it will go to the next level of the approval channel. So only the authorized person will be doing the approvals. Reconciliation, every month and or daily basis, the cash has to tally. In reality, if the cash is not tallying, the cashier is responsible. He will put out of his pocket only. Even when I was doing the bank audit, that time this also happened. 250 rupees something. That was a big amount at that time. Imagine a cashier, if he keeps 250 rupees per day, 30 days means he has to keep his entire salary daily basis for the shortfall amount. So he will make sure that this has been covered on it completely. Then setting up limits. As I said, for each person will be having a limit, proper limit, authority limits, then only it goes. Physical security. Yes, all the gold loan, whatever the security has been properly been stored. Title deed documents for the housing loan, whether all the title deeds are being supporting documents are stored properly, and contingency planning. So all these things, control system in place. You have to make sure that you have to cover these areas during your course of audit. And the most important, engagement team discussion. This is a beautiful thing. During my articleship timing and all, my principal, when I was in Chennai, we used to form a team. He will form a team. The main principal will form a team, and then he will say that, okay, you have to discuss these areas, because first thing is you have to discuss with your team, because the point is, for example, for that audit, if you're going 3-4 people, you will define yourself. Okay, I'll be focusing on these areas. You focus on these areas, so that the entire within the 1 week plan during the course of audit, within 1 week auditing time date, you will be able to cover all the areas. The one full quarter transaction or one full year in transaction, you will be able to cover them up. So what are the areas to be done? So you have to see what are the errors that are more likely to be occur. So you have to focus based on the previous audit report. You will come to know what errors was happened in the last year. You can see whether this year the same error has been happened or not. So that's why I'm telling that identified in the prior years. And method. sometimes the bank person, especially one or two cashiers mistake, we cannot blame the entire cashiers. So sometimes some cashiers also, they are forced to do some frauds by perpetrated. So what will happen is when they do, because of this perpetrated means, it is a causing a harm to the entire organization by the particular bank person. Okay, like same thing, gold loan. You might have given the loan, but if you go in the locker, the gold will not be there actually. Imagine the situation. So a lot of things are there. Then audit response to various risks. As per standards auditing 330, yes, you have to give your response on all these risks: engagement risk, pervasive risk, and specific risk. Sometimes when you are preparing the report, what will happen is you will come across all these situations. So you have to give response to the for all these risk activities, so that for the users or the investors, they will come to know that okay, there is still risk free is there. The risk was identified, but the risk was also mitigated, and proper measures are taken to control the risk. See my statement how it is. So in the examination also, you have to present your point like this only. So during a course of audit, what will happen is when you come across by identifying any risk or a risk, so you have to assess that risk, whether it is a material or immaterial, small or bigger. அன்னியன் படம் மாதிரி தான், டெய்லி 1 ரூபா திருடுறது தப்பு தான், ஒரே நாள்ல 300 ரூபா திருடுறது தப்பு தான். ஸோ அந்த கதை தான் அது ஆக்சுவலி. ஸோ யூ ஹவ் டு பி வெரி காஷியஸ் enough, assess the risk, and then you have to give a response that proper measures are taken, how it has been taken, whether it is a pervasive or specific risk. Again, when you study SA 330, you will come to know detail about this one point. Though it is in one line, but it has a huge meaning in SA 330. We will be dealing on it in a separate chapter, don't worry. And especially you are a chartered accountant, you have to be more skepticism. Skepticism means you have to keep on asking questions to the every person. What has happened? How was the business? How many loans you have been given this year? How many deposits accepted? Okay, what is the outstanding? Is there anything delay? Give me a schedule or list of borrowers. There will be a separate schedule report will be there. Extract that report, and you will come to know what type of loans and advances given to the borrowers. Housing loan, 10 customers. Vehicle loan, 5 customers. And term loan or overdraft facility for the purpose of business, 30 customers. So put together all these are loans and advances. So in this, you'll come to know there could be something, a defaulter for more than 90 days. So you have to pick up that transaction to classify them as a NPA. Second thing is you have to reverse that income. Third, you have to pass the provisioning. So you have to keep on asking questions. That is why we are calling this a professional skepticism throughout the audit engagement. Then you have to be more alert for the information indicating the material misstatement. So that is why I've given you point wise, but if you look at the institute material, they would have been explained in detail, like a full complete sentences. It is difficult for you to memorize the entire thing. At least you can memorize all these keywords. That will help you to present this particular question during this answer. This is a very important question. Sometimes every alternative times this question is standing in the examination, and especially many students, they will not study this chapter. They will say that this chapter is unimportant, but actually in reality, if you cannot leave any chapter in the theory papers. If you leave, what will happen is sometimes the questions from this chapter will be more easier than the questions you might have studied for a quite sufficient and more focused. It will be difficult. So then you might be feel that, oh, we would have studied means this question might have been answered easily. So that is why don't leave anything. Try to read everything and have an idea about that particular chapter. Okay. Now the most important, appointment of auditors. Which bank and how he'll be appointed, and for him the audit fees, the remuneration, who will be fixing it up. So this is how it is. You might be asked in a 2-mark questions. Again, this we have prepared it in form of tabulation form, but in the institute material, I think they have given form of paragraph and point wise. But this table, before the examination point of view, it will be easier for you to have a quick glance on it. So as I said, you might be studying nationalized bank, banking company, SBI, subsidiary, regional rural bank. So against this bank, how the auditors chartered accounts have been appointed. The first one is nationalized by the board of directors. Again, approval of RBI is required. And for him, the fees is fixed by the Reserve Bank of India. Again, with the consideration of central government. Banking company, all at the AGM by the shareholders itself. SBI, CNAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. So he is the one appointing. CNAG will be appointing the auditors, again with the consideration of central government. Same thing, fees will be fixed by the RBI in consideration of central government. Subsidiary for SBI and all will be done by the SBI itself. Only the SBI major one, because it's RBI. So that's why CNAG will be coming in place. The last one is the regional rural bank. All the bank concern itself with the approval of central government. So this is how the appointment of auditors takes place. As per the, when you talk about the Companies Act, under section 139, the appointment section will be applicable, because he could be a first auditor or a regular auditor or a subsequent auditor. Okay, with regard to the remuneration, section 142, where the audit fees has been defined. So when we study the company audit chapter or audit report, we'll be going through in detail in this section. So from this chapter banking point of view, at least have some idea on this, how the auditors have been appointed by whom and how the remuneration has been fixed by. All right. Now, the next one is the auditor's report, most important thing. So this is very, very, very crucial. Yes. So how the audit report will be, especially what are the points nature are covered under it. The previous question is, it was a types of audit report. Okay. This question, it is a specific audit report. Once the audit is completed, this is a standard report which you have to issue to the bank. Okay. So this is how it takes place. So there will be a format and standard report. You have to make sure that that report has been served in compliance with the requirements of standard auditing, SCA. And then again, you have to ensure that if any, like for example, if you are a chartered accountant, if you are doing an audit for the HDFC Bank headquarters in Chennai for the entire zonal office, for Tamil Nadu fully, sometimes you will come to know that there will be some few branches remain unaudited. Okay. So you have to quantify that point in your audit report, that certain number of branches are unaudited. Okay. So especially these type of questions, what you're seeing on the screen, they will be asking you from different question aspects. So for these questions, you can write point wise. But if they're asking you to write a specific format of audit report, means you cannot write the answers point wise. You have to write paragraph wise only, because as I said, all the audit report will be form of paragraph wise only. You cannot write them point wise. But in this situation, you can write them, because you are trying to convey the message. What are the points to be included in the auditor's report? Okay. So to ensure that number of branches are unaudited, you have to quantify them. And not only that, the branches which are unaudited, how much business has taken place, how much of loans and advances have been given to the borrower, how much deposit has been accepted from the public, interest income earned during that period, and expenses. Interest expenses means what the bank will pay the FD interest to the public. Interest income means what the bank has earned from the borrower. So these things to be disclosed in the report, especially whenever you have a situation of number of branches unaudited. So for example, if you're having 5 branches unaudited, means for all the 5 branches, what is the quantum of amount? You have to quantify them. Like for example, 100 crore of worth of advances which are being done in these branches remain unaudited, which means that then they will see the risk. Okay. And then you have to provide all these disclosure informations. What will happen? This will be more useful for the users. When we say users, you might have studied in the first chapter. User means the investors, correct? No? Or the sundry creditors, or the, sorry? Yeah. So user means are the investors. So they are the mainly ones. So you should know that. Just a minute. Yeah. You can see the full screen, right? Okay. Fine. So the above disclosure information you have to provide useful information to the users. And then CARO. CARO is nothing but company's audit report, where again you have some specific set of points that will be covered during the course of audit. If those points, if they have any deviation, like under the CARO report, auditor's report is different, and then again a CARO is a part of auditor's report, where it will have a separate section where you need to cover some certain points. Wherever you have any deviation, you have to mention those points, and wherever if you don't have any deviation also, you can mention it as it seems to be fine. Like I'll give you some examples. Under CARO, you have one point, fixed assets. You'll be saying that as per AS 10, property, plant and equipment, all the assets are physically verified. Yes, title deed is there. Okay, whatever the assets are physically available, it could be in the registrar. Okay, imagine you have 10 cars in the balance sheet, but only 8 cars are there. Means what you'll do? It will be a problem. So 2 cars are left theft. So you have to qualify that 2 cars are missing in the CARO report. Okay, then stock also. So stock every yearly you will be doing a physical inventory verification. Again, if there is anything deficiency, any shortfall or any discrepancies, immediately you have to value the stock of value, and then you have to report them in this CARO report. So the CARO is having 22 checklist points. So the 22 checklist point, if there is anything deviation, you have to mention them. If there is no deviation also, you have to mention them. It is in line. Okay. So that CARO also will be dealing in the auditor's report chapter. Then LFIR. Then third thing is, in the case of nationalized bank, means auditors has to submit report to the central government. So what you'll be reporting it up, whether the opinion FS presents a true and fair view, whether information called for it has been provided clearly and satisfactory, whether or not the transactions comes to its notice has been within the powers of that bank, whether the returns, means the monthly returns are being received from the branches, have been found sufficient enough, adequate means sufficient enough during the course of audit, and any other matters to be brought to the notice of central government. So basically, this particular nationalized bank, you are submitting a report to the central government, and these are the major critical points you need to consider them when you are preparing this report. Then reporting to the RBI. So see the points. So first one is about the standard report, they're talking about it, LFIR. Then nationalized bank, to report to whom you have to submit it up, what are the points to be considered, and then the reporting to RBI. Reporting to RBI is the most important thing. It is like reporting to the central government completely. So here you have to ensure that as per SA 250, considering the laws, considering the laws and regulations and audit of financial statement statutory act. So which means that just a minute. Yeah. So SA 240 is nothing but about the auditor's responsibility. You have to report the frauds in the audit of financial statements. So during the course of audit, whatever frauds and errors, you have to report them. I would like to share my experience with regarding SA 240. When we were doing audit in Chennai for a multi-level marketing company, like same like Amway company, there was a company called I think K-Link, I think so. It was a Malaysian headquarters company. They had a good turnover, almost like 150 crores. I'm talking about 2010. So 2010, 150 crores is a huge amount actually. Okay, so I was heading the audit. So what happened is, in a particular branch, there was a person who was trying to conceal all the stocks. He opened a dummy customer account and then trying to move all the stock to him. And one fine time, he said that customer became insolvency. So we cannot even trace that customer where he has gone. So like that way, he has set up a fraud in real, like a real customer base, but in reality, it's a dummy customer. When we go, when the management team went and visited that particular destination place, they couldn't see that customer. But it looks like that customer was operating the business throughout the time. but all of a sudden he got disabled, vanished completely. So like these things, frauds and all, you have to disclose them in line with SA 240. Not only that, about the fraud, there is one of the checklist point under CARO. You have to report that also in CARO as well. So that is why SA 240 is more severe. And I do have a separate PowerPoint presentation for some important standards auditing. We'll be dealing onto it. Don't worry. We'll take through. And the next one is duty to reports on frauds. So especially you have to report to the central government in line with 143 subsection 12. It's a fraud only. SA 240. SA 240 means as a chartered accountant in the auditor report, how you are going to disclose them on the matters relating to the fraud. You as a chartered accountant is responsible to disclose them in the audit of financial statements. Not only that, you as a chartered accountant, it is responsible to disclose them in the CARO report. At the same time, it is a duty to report to the central government also, like how you have to report them, amount involved more than 1 crore, amount involved less than 1 crore. So this 143 subsection 12, we will be dealing it up again. When we cover the chapter company audit, we will be going in detail. So 143 subsection 3, duties of auditor, 139, 142, 143.12, SA 701, 705, many things are there. So all SA 700. So all these things, when we cover the chapter auditor's report or company audit, we'll be dealing in detail, but at least have a glance, because from this chapter also, you have to quote this point from the, when any question has been asked for the banking chapter wise, you have to mention this point, because this is also one of the point, duties to report, reporting to RBI, nationalized bank, format, LFR. So all these things comes under the auditor's report, and then you have to be very cautious what test, because at the end of the day, all the banks are being dealt by the central government and the RBI and everything. So you as a chartered accountant, you have to be very clear what has to be reported. Fraud, okay. SA 250 means every bank is having their own statute act. It could be companies, it could be RBI act, okay. And the NBFC means they're having their own NBFC, but everything comes under the RBI only. So that particular act, they have to consider those laws and regulations to prepare the financial statement. Okay. Insurance company, they have their own insurance regulated development authority, IRDA, they do have. Companies, public company, private company, they have a companies act. Okay. Partnership act, LLP, they do have their own act. So that is why every entity, they have to consider their own laws and regulations, and when they are preparing the financial statement, and especially you as a chartered accountant, you have to ensure that this SA 250 is complied by that entity in line with the act, statute or act. You have to follow the respective rules and regulations. That is why SA 250 in place. Is it clear? Can we move on to the next one? Guys, I'm going very fast or very slow? Okay, okay. Then, okay, we'll try to cover till here actually. Okay, till this particular area we'll try to cover. How the bank audit has been covered and what are the stages involved. Previously, we saw what approach you will take. See the question. Sometimes the questions might be very similar enough, and you might be ending up in a confusion stage. So approach is different. Okay, report formatting is different, and what are the stages are involved during your course of audit. So as a chartered accountant, what you have to do. So what are the stages? Every stage you have to go. Okay, so yeah, I'll take you through onto it. Especially whenever you are writing this essay number, no? Okay, like essay 300 means, like for example, for this banking chapter, when you are about to write about essay 300 means, you have to give some like this 4 points, minimum 3 to 4 points at least you have to give them, explain them. It doesn't mean that you have to give explain in detail in full 10 to 15 points. You cannot waste your time for this particular specific question, 4-mark question. But at the same time, you have to outline giving some 2-3 points about essay 300 under that same section. So especially in this question, for the following stages involved in audit, especially what happens is we are trying to mention some certain standards in auditing, but at the same time, you cannot leave it like writing it one line. You have to mention some like this few key points for each essay, critical essays, critical standards auditings, so that this will give you a clear picture. Okay. So in this case, what are the following stages are involved is first is initial consideration. So what are the initial consideration you have to do? Declaration of indebtedness means declaration of indebtedness means nothing but, for example, if you're doing a branch audit, same time you should not have any loan with that bank, like car loan or something else. If you have anything means, then you have to give a declaration, okay, that you have a housing loan, you have a car loan, all these things you have to give a declaration. Sometimes you might have taken some anything term loan for your businesses, anything else, or you might have given something guarantee. So certain things are there, but especially when you're giving some guarantee, usually you'll be disqualified. But sometimes when you're taking any loan means, you have to disclose them up. And there is a threshold amount for more than 500 rupees. If anything is there, you have to disclose. If the amount is less than 500, no need to disclose anything. So the second point is internal assignment actually. Internal assignment by the statutory dismiss, then you should not be appointed if concurrent or internal audit carried the same year. Which means that if you are being assigned by a statutory auditor, then you cannot be appointed for any concurrent audit, internal audit. Similarly, for any companies also, if you are being appointed as a statutory auditor, you will not be allowed to do any bookkeeping activity, or you cannot be able to do any internal audit and all for the same company. So that is all the same place. Then the third one is SA 300 planning. What it is, or planning of audit of financial statements. What planning you have to do when you are going to do the audit of financial statement. Then SA 220 quality control of audit work, accepting of client relation and specific audit. This SA 2, you have to be very clear, and you have to make sure that what is of audit previous auditor, as I said, NOC has to be obtained. If not, you cannot. Then SA 510 initial engagements, opening balances you have to verify. Always when you are taking a new audit, the first thing you have to check is opening balances, because otherwise that will give you a clear thing. So opening balances will be verified by the previous year audit report, the balance sheet, and you will check whether all the opening balances are being brought forward correctly, especially the stock, where the people will play a much more tampering can happen. Then again, audit planning memorandum, audit materiality and going concern. Even going concern, you have a SA number. Okay, audit materiality also it is there. SA number is there. Sorry. Yes, correct, exactly. SA 570. Yes, you are right. So next is it? No objection certificate. Okay, then understand the risk management process. This is the most important thing. Sometimes this particular area alone will be asked in a 4-mark question. Okay, you cannot write these 4 points, but you have to explain what is this. Okay, so first of all, what are the stages involved and how you are going to understand the risk management process. So control process means what are those charged with the corporate governance. So when you say corporate governance means there will be some set of rules and regulations framed by the entity organization, and that rules and regulations will be approved by the board, and then you have to make sure that that corporate governance laws or the rules and regulations are followed by the all the divisions, branches, and everyone. If there's anything deviation, immediately you have to report them. That is why even for the public companies, we say if there is anything weakness in the control system for the policies involved charged the corporate governance, you have to report them. So this is very important. Those who charge the corporate governance, this point is very important. So it is nothing but the rules and regulations approved by the respective board, by the organization itself. Then controlling activities and monitoring. So you have to consider all these activities. What are the activities takes place? Reliable information system. Yes, you should have proper system in place in terms of proper booking and everything. And identification. And especially when there's anything risk is there, that will have a significant impact. And you have to make sure that whether the risk is measures has been taken. Not only that, you have to give your response. As per SA 330, you have to give your response to all these risks. So that is why we say that understand the risk management process. So this is a very important question. I understand 2-3 times in the last, it was coming into the examination continuously. Not only that, even the bank accounting process. So risk management process and bank accounting process both are like a bit like a same time can be asked in examination. So be very cautious. Then identify and assess the risk, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform further audit procedures. See, at the end of the day, when you're going for audit, first of all, when we go for audit and all, let me share my experience. We used to take the last year audit file. We will see last year also we might be the auditors only. My team previous senior would have done that audit. So I will go and ask him what you did, whatever the challenges you had, what are the risk involved. He will say, no, every time there is a weakness is there. There is no proper controls in place. People are still playing there. So you have to focus in that area and then make a report and see if there is anything still or anything improvising. You can see it's a good signage. But still, if it is going on worse means, then immediately you have to report them in the auditor report, qualifying them. Okay, so you have to identify and assess the risk and see whether that particular risk has been happened because of fraud or not. Sometimes what will happen beyond your control, you cannot do anything. There is a risk will be in place, but it doesn't mean that there is a fraud is involved in there. Need not be there is no fraud involved, but still there is a risk is there. So you have to design your audit plan accordingly. So audit planning, which you might be studied in the second chapter, something else. So you have to make sure that what are the stages involved and how you're doing your planning completely. Okay, and this is nothing but the reliance and review further report. Same thing, previous report, last year inspection report, internal report, RBA, concurrent internal audit report on verification security. This is very important. Verification security means how the security systems will be maintained, like the treasury, the lockers, jewel lockers, gold lockers, cash lockers, chest, all these things will be there. And any other audit report, internal report, managers report, especially when the manager takes place on transfer, that is the most important thing. They have to ensure that all the work has been properly handed over, everything. And most important things, as I said, 330, response to the assessed risk. So it is not only your duty to identify and assess, you have to respond to them, whether it is a risk is minimum, medium, low, or high. You have to classify them. Okay. Basel 3 norms, it depends upon the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, it will be there. Now, this is the last slide for today's session, but I have given you the, from this banking chapter point of view, especially when you are having a situation to write the answers for this particular scenario means, at least you can focus on these key points at least and present them in the examination. See, again, for a 4-mark question, if they ask specifically SA 300 means you can write in detail. If it is like a part of some like this question means you cannot waste your time in writing about SA 300 for a full page. But at the same time, you have to convey the message to the exam valuer. This is what about this SA 300. This is what about the planning, what I'm going to do during the course of bank audit. And that is how you have to convey the message in the exam, in the answer script. That will give you a good idea about it. So what is to be done for SA 300? Before the commencing audit, you should ensure that following it undertaken. Performing procedures, 220 quality control, acceptance of client relationship, specific audit engagement, and also agreeing the terms of audit engagement. So before you plan for audit, you have to make sure that, see, under this one essay, you have two things are there, essay 220 and 210 you have. So under one essay itself, it is correlated with that respective point. Okay, so before you plan, first of all, you have to check whether are you the auditor for that year? Yes, because sometimes what will happen is every 5 years rotation is there. So you have to make sure that you are coming out of it and then you give a NOC to the next subsequent auditor or a regular auditor. Then audit engagement. And this is very important because whenever this audit engagement, before you accept, you have to be very clear. What is my scope of audit? Which are the areas you need to cover? Tomorrow after signing, you cannot say that, oh, I assumed that this is not covered. This is not my area. But in reality, in your acceptance engagement letter, they would have detailedly mentioned the scope of work that these areas also should be covered. which is not at all part of your requirement. So you have to be very cautious, and to avoid confusion, you have to be very clear what are the areas to be covered out of it. And essay 510, yes. As I said, if you come across anything different to opening balances, you should express your qualified opinion or adverse opinion. Again, these are all types of audit report: qualified opinion, adverse opinion, type of audit report. What are the types of report? We are going to issue them. This is what point is. Then SA 315 is very, very, very important. SA 300, 315, 330, all are like same questions. 352, give an explanation about 315, about a slight 2-3 points. At least that will cover it up. You cannot write that one line alone. Okay. And you can use these as even tick sign or hash tricks in the examination. You can use on it. Always make sure you write point wise. That is the most important thing of it. So auditor should obtain understanding of the entity, including internal control, because we have to first identify the risk. To identify, we have to ensure whether it has been happened due to fraud or error, whether sufficient audit procedures are in place to identify them. Then, first of all, you have to make sure that whether it has been happened at the financial statement level, or the transaction, or at the balances, or the disclosure, or it could be happened at where. So you have to provide a basis in performing further to carry your audit to identify and assess the risk. So at each and every stage level, you need to identify and assess the risk. Even while preparing the financial statement also it can happen. Even during disclosure also it can happen. Sometimes what will happen is at the time of accounting the transaction, what will happen is it will the risk can be involved. Okay, so all these factors are in place actually. So with this we'll stop here. Okay, go through it up, whatever we explain on it. Okay, so that at least you will be able to understand on it. Day by day, whenever I cover some things, please finish it off same time. Don't keep it for tomorrow, because that will also be a backfiring you. Okay, then tomorrow we'll cover the advances, security, prudential norms, NPA, consortium. Okay, advances, and the drawing power, and how the agriculture loan becomes NPA, crop season. I told you, right? So all these things are here, and then internal controls, and then with this, the basic things have been covered in this chapter. So we will rejoin tomorrow, same time, India time 10:30. I repeat, India time 10:30. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts, students, guys? I hope I'm not fast enough. If I'm fast, please let me know. I'm slow, right? I'm very slow. Is it? I mean, you're able to understand, or please feel free, raise your questions then and then. Don't keep it up yourself. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.